to give the space for the Punchcut team. So Ken, will you start this presentation today? Okay.
Great. Let me know if you can see that.
We can see.
Okay, great. Well, first of all, thank you so much for the opportunity to join you today. Thank you, Fredo, and for the overview of ProtoPie. And certainly, we're big fans of ProtoPie. It's been a really invaluable tool for us in our toolkit as we're designing for future connected products. So we feel privileged to be here today and happy to share a little bit about what we do and how we look at the future and how we're designing for connected products and the role that prototyping, but specifically the role that ProtoPie actually is playing in that. So I am happy to be joined today with our other key design leaders at Punchcut, whom you've already been introduced to and met. But we are excited to walk through today a little bit of an overview of who we are, what we do, who we work with. You know, as an agency, we work with clients and partners, and ultimately how we see the future and what it means to design for connected products. After that, I'm going to turn it over to the team and let them talk through the role that prototyping plays in our process, as well as walk through some examples of where we've been utilizing ProtoPie to create some really interesting connected product experiences and demonstrations. So to introduce Punchcut, we are a digital product design and innovation company. Our mission really is to come into companies and to help accelerate innovation through human-centered experience design. You know, our mantra is people are our priority and the future is the focus. So we believe that we get, you know, we're all very excited about the evolving state of technology, but we know that the only way the technology really works for creating great products is when you put people first. And our goal as a company is to really leverage the power of design to put people first to ultimately envision and realize a better future. And that better future ultimately delivers value for those end customers that are using your products, but also then returning that value back to the businesses that make that. So the role that we play when we come in and work with a partner is really, the way we describe it is as a design accelerator. We serve as a design accelerator to our clients. We empower them with the velocity, with the insight, with talent, and really vision to get them to the future faster. And that is really what they're seeking to do. There is so much change ahead of us in the world and in the market. And our customers are often thinking through how they can rethink their products to ensure that they are delivering value, not just now, but into the future. And that's where we come in as a partner to really help accelerate them to think about that. We do that across 3 areas of service. These are what we call design acceleration services. And the first area is we're often being asked to come in and help partner to help them define what the future vision for their product could be. Either identify a new market opportunity or to identify ways they could evolve their product for a new technology to deliver that in a more transformative way. So we come in and provide consumer research through user research. We also do innovation strategy and workshops, and in addition to helping them to crystallize what is that initial vision, what's that North Star of where they're headed. This is where the role of demonstrations, vision prototypes comes into play for us, which is really important. So that's where a lot of our partners seek to leverage our services. But the other area is really taking that vision and translating that into a reality. And that's where we move into product design. And the product services that we offer there really are around product definition, thinking about design systems, and ultimately bringing together design and code under our design technology practice, and how we're effectively, ultimately helping our partners realize and ultimately implement and launch the products into the market. The other area where we're empowering our partners is really from a a lot of our clients are growing their own design teams, and as they're growing their teams, they can't scale fast enough, and they also are looking to continue to improve their skills. That's where we as a company can come in and provide team acceleration, can provide design training, and also just help with coordinating the overall design process through design ops. So that's a little about who we are, what our services are. Let's talk about who we work with. We've been so fortunate over the years to work with many of the world's top companies. You're seeing just a selection of a few here, from Samsung to LG, Disney, Sony, Google. The list goes on, and we're certainly humbled and privileged to partner with them. The benefit that we bring as an agency is that we get to work across industries. So we've been working across health and wellness, wearables, smart home and IoT, autonomous vehicles and mobility, immersive XR media, and consumer services, all with the lens of how do we help these companies create more connected product experiences that deliver more value for their customers. So needless to say, you may have a Punchcut influenced product in your collection, either the Fitbit you wear on your wrist, or a Google service you use, or maybe even the appliance you use, possibly the car you drive. We've touched a lot of things, and we're happy to help try to improve the world, in better ways. So the way we see the future, and this is really what has been our mission as a company for the many years that we've focused, and that is helping move our clients through these different eras of technology change. Technology is exciting, but it brings a lot of change, and there's a lot to explore and understand when you're designing new products. So our clients often come to us to break new ground and allowing us to help them move through these different eras of change. I'm happy to say that just last month, we've actually celebrated our 20th anniversary as a company. It's a huge milestone for us. We've been so excited and humbled. At the same time, we're just even more excited about the future that's ahead. And so when we looked back, over the many years, we realized that these are the technology eras of change that we've helped guide our clients through. And I think we've all been living this as consumers as well. But we started Punchcut at a time where we were moving from the internet to the mobile era. Our first focus was on mobile user experiences, designing for phones and tablets. And we quickly parlayed that into designing for wearables, TV, automotive, and specializing in how you design for multi-device experiences in the connected era. Building on that connected era, we started to see that technology needed to be interacted with a bit more naturally. And so a lot of our clients were looking for us to help them bring in voice interaction, gestures, and haptics in the natural era. And so now where that places us today is we say that we are currently in the decade of conscious experiences, or the conscious era, where artificial intelligence is really becoming more conscious and more intelligent in how it can better deliver experiences. And at the same time, with all the change that we've all gone through as a human race, we're all a lot more conscious about how we want technology to deliver for us. And so together, over the many years that we've worked with our clients, our mission has been to work on bringing this relationship closer together between humans and machines in ways that ultimately empower people in the best way and deliver value for them. And then once again, back to the businesses that provide products. So the lens we bring to the future is a belief that we need to design more conscious experiences that are ultimately bringing together and creating these connected product experiences that are more living and dynamic and evolve with us as our needs. So for you to frame the four, we kind of see four pillars or four qualities of what we feel future products need to deliver on. And these are those areas. They need to be more intelligent, more immersive, more systemic, and more social. And we believe so strongly in that we've really built specialized design practices around each of these areas. And so from an intelligent devices perspective, that's where we're working on autonomous vehicles, smart appliances, digital assistants, all with the goal of humanizing artificial intelligence to be more assistive and to be more of a partner to empowering people to accomplish what they're looking to do. The second pillar of what makes connected products is really immersive spaces. And that's where we're seeing the convergence of digital and physical spaces coming together through immersive media, through new mobility, and even now in the emerging metaverse and XR. Our focus with our clients has been to design for more spatial experiences, more sensory, and more seamless experiences across those different spaces. The third area when you're designing for connected products is really to focus on thinking from a more systems mindset. Products are no longer a one-dimensional interaction. They're very much a more distributed experience that is essentially a service. And so that's where we're helping companies transform their products into distributed services through working with media and payments and other areas. The last area, but certainly not the least, is really the one that's most important, is all of those areas need to ladder up to improving the well-being for people and ultimately creating more social benefits for the products that we're creating. So we're doing a lot of health and wellness to help focusing on individual well-being, but then we're also working with companies to think through designing for communities, not just companies in the future. So all of that together, those four areas make up connected products. But I have to say that that's super complex. That's a lot to work through. It's a lot to solve. And that's the challenge that our clients are facing, is that there's so many things to consider in designing for connected experiences. And so one of the ways that we help them frame it a bit is through our design process that we call experience systematics. Experience systematics is simply a systematic design thinking framework that really looks at product experiences from the perspective that an overall product experience is essentially an ecosystem. And if we're looking at these digital ecosystems that have a variety of things interacting at one time, we believe that if you can look at natural ecosystems, there's a way that you can actually learn and use some of the principles that nature has proven in the way that we design for these digital ecosystems. So we believe that can help make connected experiences more seamless, more adaptive. And so where that all arrives at is a simple framework, the way that we evaluate through research and design on how we look at connected experiences is understanding people, the spaces they're moving within, the devices they're using, and the services they're seeking to access to deliver on the goals they have. And data now has become this key fundamental point that helps to weave that together. So that's a little of the way that we see the future, the way we look at connected products in those four areas, and really the process that we approach design. Prototyping for us is a fundamental part of helping our clients envision these connected experiences and ultimately prove out. There's a lot of things that are unanswered yet, and there's a lot of new paradigms that need to be tested and proven. And so prototyping serves a really key role for that. So I will stop there and turn the time over to Eric to talk about how we think about prototyping and some of the great work we've done.
Thank you, Ken. So like Ken was just saying, prototyping really is that tool that lets us really understand and explore these relationships between people, spaces, services, devices, and data. And that in turn is what really enables better products and alignment with companies. So looking a step ahead at connected products, they really embody these four areas. And then vice versa to that is that we really look at our prototyping tools as the tools that envision these connected products. So with us, we use experience systematics as a way to kind of measure the tools and see how we can actually help create these connected products. So looking at intelligence, which is digging through data-driven assistance and experiences. We're looking at future prototyping tools, really considering how easier data integration and how it might be able to demonstrate kind of these emerging technologies at a new level. When we look towards immersive connected products, we're looking at those multi-sensory interactions, thinking of multimodals, thinking about how they can utilize all the different kind of human sensory inputs that go beyond what we currently have on mobile devices, for example. So starting looking into the future of, are we able to bring in eye tracking, sentiment analysis, and be able to kind of put those into practice and bring those elements to life and utilize those. Additionally, with systemic of really connecting all these different devices. As Ken had mentioned earlier, talking through ecosystem, devices aren't singular experiences at this point in age. It's very much so, how do they converse with one another? How do humans utilize them to kind of converse with one another? And how do we design these ecosystems of systems and devices to feel united and unified? So really looking at how prototyping tools allow us to be able to test those. And lastly, social. So thinking of community engagement, thinking of experiences that go beyond your personal device. We're starting to look at immersive experiences, XR, and all of these are platforms or elements that really involve multiple people. And starting to think through, how do we prototype those experiences? How do we get those into environments that we can test and see how those all actually run? So now let's take a look at our tool spectrum. And these really are reflecting the needs that we have in creating these connected products. For us here at Punchcut, we see code as a design medium. It's a tool in the kit. So as you see in the spectra, we have the design tools of like Figma, we have those prototyping tools of Principle, ProtoPie, and even those that involve a little bit more in code, such as origami. But on the far spectrum of in the high complexity, we have React, we have Unity, we have all those tools that you are used to actually create. And so that's whatever we're prototyping mobile applications to automotive or even immersive XR experiences. We're all really able to leverage all these different tools for the different needs we have. However, I think one big part here is that with more and more projects we have been doing with clients, we're actually finding that ProtoPie is hitting the right sweet spot of being able to handle all these different aspects of connected experiences, handle data-driven aspects, tackle the multi-sensory experiences and inputs and interactions, tackle the multi-device situations and be able to connect our phones with the TV, with the car, etc. And then be able to tackle the social aspect. So as ProtoPie is a medium, it really is letting us move faster in our process without the complexity of code and networking. And by saving us time in doing these kind of tasks, it really lets us invest our design technologists more quality time to think through the more complex programs in programming and languages such as Unity and React. Moving from connected products, the next aspect to this is really connected companies. Because they're really kind of conjoined at this point in time. So we really see prototyping being able to help our clients through evaluating impact, helping them sell the visions and reshape the processes that they have internally by cutting down time with prototyping. So overall, we see prototyping being able to help us connect products and companies through these three key areas: accelerating ideation, enhancing storytelling, and realizing designs. Let's jump into the first area. Accelerate ideation. This is really a phase in which we can create concepts that allow our clients to evaluate ideas. We can help them define our constraints and also gather feedback early on. So during ideation, we really help our clients shape through those visions by utilizing a number of kind of methods and exercises, such as concept sketching, creating systems and frameworks, doing concept validation testing, and defining experience attributes. And those are just some of the exercises we like to do. However, we see prototyping come into play here, and it really helps us actually accelerate this process through, especially notably, multi-sensory interactions and that seamless cross-device experience. So again, this is really tackling that immersive experience aspect of it, of being able to connect all these different elements and really help us move forward in this manner. And one domain that was actually really benefiting from this that we've been working in is automotive. In working with companies such as Nissan and Toyota, we've really found that these aspects are key to defining and ideating better experiences here. Prototyping really gives us the ability to put artifacts in front of our clients and really test out concepts, test out interaction systems, and try things that are new and possibly the next opportunity to move forward in design. So by prototyping early, we're really able to push boundaries to reduce opportunities, areas, understand edge cases and constraints that might affect the work. And this is doing so at a very quick level. So now let's take a look at how ProtoPie specifically aids in this process. Before we start the demo here, this is a really lightweight prototype. It's not fully fleshed out in terms of visuals. We see that it's in the state of low fidelity. However, ProtoPie is really leveraging the fact that it has high interaction and we can actually implement that really, really quickly. So let's start the demo.
Hey, Punchmobile.
How can I help?
navigate to work.
You got it.
Ken, could you mute yourself? Perfect, thank you. So give it a moment here as we figure things out here. But as you can see here is that ProtoPie really enables us in three ways here. The first is, as we were just mentioning earlier, that low fidelity prototyping that is really highly interactive, that's able to kind of connect these multi-devices quickly, whether or not straight from designs from Figma to ProtoPie, to the variety of devices that we see here in front of us, in which we're mocking up what might happen on within a car. So very quickly, you can move that from the couch that you see in this prototype in this demonstration into a bucket of a vehicle. Additionally, too, is that we have access to all these multisensory triggers. So being able to quickly throw in voice, throw in audio, throw in sound, and really kind of create a holistic experience that considers all of these sensory inputs. Now I'm going to hand it off to Akshat to walk us through how prototyping helps us in enhancing storytelling.
Thanks, Eric. Yeah, so as Eric was mentioning, another great quality of prototypes is that they really help us bring out the narratives and the stories we're trying to communicate through our designs. So they help us create proofs of concepts that combine interaction, visuals, motion, and data into one cohesive piece. And then our clients are able to use that to promote a vision or test feasibility across concepts. And here's a little glimpse into our visioning process that covers everything from sketches and storyboarding to advanced high-fidelity prototypes, all in the service of sort of bridging the gap between vision and reality and bringing these stories to life. And prototyping plays a key role in that. Specifically, the vectors that we see prototypes enhancing the most on the storytelling front are dimensionality and immersion, which pertains to sort of the immersive experiences that can benefit most from going beyond just visual representations, and also seamless connections, which involves sort of the unification of interactions involving connected devices in the home, which is another fast-growing area. And from a narrative perspective, both of these areas benefit significantly from high-quality prototypes that can take experiences and users beyond a single 2D screen, which is often the space that we tend to start off the design process in. And our clients benefit from the narrative quality of prototypes in two key ways, right? So there's they're able to sell compelling evidence, right? So they can share these prototypes around and they can sort of sell proofs of concepts to gain interest in funding. And they can also use these prototypes to evaluate feasibility, right? It's an invaluable method to evaluate the effort and resources required to implement an idea in reality. And it helps us do all of that, identify points of failure and of success fairly early in the process. So before we start the demo, since we're talking about narratives and storytelling, I want you to imagine that you're hanging out with a few buddies in your living room, right? Let's say you're watching a TV show and you hear a song you really like. You wish there was an easy way to listen to it again with your friends on your TV without getting into other apps and such. Or maybe just add it to your library for later, find other music with the same vibes. How could technology help us enable something like that for our users? This video demonstrates one approach.
Akshat, are you able to hear the videos?
Not able to hear the audio, but I can perhaps talk through that. So using ProtoPie, we were able to incorporate fairly rich media into this experience. So that's not just reactions to the taps and the swipes that are happening, just to sort of give users a sensory output in addition to what they're seeing on the screen based on their interactions, but also to actually make the prototype so much more convincing to be actually playing music when this moment happens, for example, or I've been playing video along with audio earlier when the user was just sort of using the phone as a mobile device. I can move to the next slide. Yeah, so we saw a fairly nuanced, fairly complex prototype there working across 2 devices, both of which had really advanced high fidelity visuals and motion design working on both the mobile device and the TV. And that connectivity and the fidelity of motion and really the high degree of polish was made possible with ProtoPie, right? And specifically the features and abilities of ProtoPie that helped us the most were really the send and receive system that maps to our mental models from the coding and the programming setup as well of let's say the observer pattern that one might implement in something like Unity. But it's also simple enough for designers to understand, right? It's just sending and receiving messages that we're able to use not only to connect multiple devices, and then send and receive inputs across those, but also to organize complex prototypes, right? So to build reusable blocks within ProtoPie when things get really complex. That way they're easier to maintain. And then, of course, ProtoPie has also helped us in eliminating the need to set up servers and do some of those repetitive, mundane tasks that a developer might have to enable multi-device experiences, right? We're not having to mess around with WebSockets because ProtoPie sort of takes away that burden from us. And all of this, again, is sort of leading up to this idea that we're able to develop advanced multi-sensory prototypes that demonstrate a really sophisticated level of interactivity, all to set up for optimal demos and storytelling. And with that, I'll pass it off to Bella.
Thank you, Akshat. Let's talk about how Punchcut actualizes our designs. So static screens can be augmented by adding interactions, transitions, and motion to better demonstrate these concepts to clients. This allows us to create dynamic functional demos without the effort of full-fledged technical production. So during our realization process, we execute on our clients' needs by leveraging the systematic thinking. So some of the methods and activities that Eric walked us through earlier help inform these foundational decisions. Our experience systematics practice helps us design holistic ecosystems that optimize those relationships between people, spaces, devices, services, and data. By bringing the systematic thinking up front, we can support our clients throughout the implementation process by providing documentation and scalable experiences. So we all know that prototyping is a powerful tool when bridging the gap between screen and reality. But there are a couple of points that Punchcut firmly believes. So one, we think that prototyping is essential in creating these systematic experiences. By prototyping early on, we can design signature paradigms that are unified across devices and screens. This also ensures that we follow best practices and implement accessible patterns. By experimenting and determining these foundations in prototyping, there's a lot fewer choices to be made in production. So parallel to storyboards or animatics in traditional animation, production flows smoother when we include this step. Oh, go back one. Ken, can you go back one, please? Thank you. So we also recommend that prototyping be included when designing communal experiences. So virtual experiences that are both individual and shared may contain complex issues that only prototyping and testing could reveal. This prototype allows us to feel out interactions rather than imagining the ideal scenario in our minds, and this is especially important when multiple people are involved. Feeling out these multiplayer experiences will expose the intricacies of social dynamics and interpersonal communication that we might otherwise be unaware of. So this transition to high fidelity prototypes ensures that our clients and their extended teams gain the best understanding possible. You can see in that top example, we created a visually rich flow in After Effects to help demonstrate a signature panel transition. In the bottom example, we use ProtoPie's interaction recipe for easy handoff to developers. So prototyping at this level allows us to evaluate motion systems, support research and testing, and also gets us one step closer to reality. So now that we've walked you through our process, we just have one more quick demo of an immersive prototype. What we're looking at here is a stationary tablet experience that leans into sound and animation to help generate a sense of the spatial model. Okay. I think we can play it. Awesome. So ProtoPie enabled a few things that we demonstrated here. Number one, we integrated rich expressive assets that were originally made in After Effects using Lottie and MP4 integration. Number two, relying on interaction recipes for handoff made everybody feel more confident. It reassured developers that the idea was feasible and designers knew our vision would be implemented correctly. And then lastly, ProtoPie Studio made it really easy to wirelessly test on devices, both in person or by simply sharing a link via ProtoPie Cloud. So these are a few reasons why ProtoPie is a constant tool in our stack. I'll hand it back to you, Ken, to wrap us up.
Thank you so much, Bella, Eric, and Akshat. Really appreciate you walking us through some of those really exciting things. All of our mission together here is really creating great products for people. And prototyping is critical to that. ProtoPie certainly has been really an accelerator for us, as we actually are an accelerator for our clients and getting them to the future faster. So we will stop with that and open it up to questions and turn it back to the ProtoPie team.
Great. Thank you so much, Ken, Isabella, Eric, and Akshat for your great presentation. Really, it's very insightful to see how the team uses ProtoPie to actually, ideate, ideation enhancement, selling the storytelling to the clients. So yes, now we're gonna go through, we have a couple of Q&As. So let me read them to you. So the first question that we have is, how is user testing conducted at Punchcut?
Sure, I can take that, and then I am happy to pass it to one of the team members as well. When you're putting people first, everything starts with the user, and so we have robust user research practice that focuses on both early generative methods as well as evaluative methods further down when you're actually having a product that's ready to be tested and evaluated. So we usually apply a mixed method approach to user research in general, but user testing from an evaluative perspective is often iterative as we roll through. But maybe I'll turn it to Eric to talk a little bit more about how we do any details around user testing in the process. Because a lot of the prototypes are critical for the testing of that.
Totally. Yeah, so I'll focus on that particular element of just prototyping around user testing. So like Ken had mentioned, we do a mixed method. So a lot of qualitative testing is involved around a prototype. So working with companies and creating designs, whether or not it's from just validating concepts. So creating a couple different methods or options to explore, and then putting it in front of users to see the reaction, to get a good understanding of perhaps what are they liking, what are they perhaps not approval of. Additionally, prototypes bring into A/B testing or much more in depth of usability. So it's a wide range in terms of how that prototypes kind of come into play here.
Great, thank you for your answer, Ken and Eric. We have a second question. It says, how do you utilize ProtoPie in the developer's handoff? And what is the usual feedback from the developers?
Great question. Akshat, you want to handle that one?
Yeah, sure thing. I think Bella briefly mentioned that we've been able to use the feature called interaction recipes. That's really helpful to document in great detail how the exact sequence and timing of advanced motion design is working in our prototypes. So that's one aspect that's been helpful in the dev handoff process. But there's also the other idea that it's a really valuable tool to communicate interaction. As I think Eric shared in that demo video of at a very early level, just the idea that here's something on a phone that can move onto another screen. It's a lot easier and a lot more efficient to show that to a developer rather than be writing out documents that explain the same thing, right? It's the whole a prototype is worth 1,000 meetings, kind of an idea there. So it really helps us on both of those ends.
Great, thank you, Akshat. We have another question. It says, question for Ken. It says, with AI possibly replacing UI or UX designers in the near future, what role do you think product designers will take? And is interaction design the next big thing?
Good question. So I'm not sure if we think we'll be fully replaced, but we do recognize that AI is becoming very powerful. And when you see some of the generative AI things that are happening right now, that's very exciting. And I think it's not worrisome for us as designers. It's actually encouraging, because the role that we think AI should play in being a partner with people or with designers is really helping to focus on automating the things that are maybe a bit more manual, a bit things that we may spend a little more time on than we actually should in getting the most value. And so I think the opportunity for product designers is to still, have a lot of influence. There's so many decisions to be made. There's a lot of things to be done. And there's still a human sensitivity that is needed to understand what is right. That's my answer. Anybody want to take this from the team further? Yeah, why don't we stop there? But really great question. I think it continues to be the big question of how is AI, changing the design industry. And as long as it becomes a partner in the mix, I think that's where we are excited to work with it and leverage it to actually deliver even more value.
Great, yeah, the future is here, so something to take into consideration. Thank you, Ken. We have one last question. It says, how much time do you spend on actual prototyping?
That's a hard question to exactly quantify. I think the way to answer it is, from the very beginning of a project, we believe we are prototyping. The minute we are sketching, that is some form of a prototype where you take an idea and you start to bring some structure and some vision to it. Nowadays we're starting to use code a lot earlier in our ideation process to actually quickly build those ideas, not too far, but enough to make decisions around what's the right thing for the user and things like that. So we kind of use it throughout the process. So in essence, we're always prototyping in some way, but any further answer from the team? I think that's.
Yeah, I can chime in. And additionally to kind of coming from a bit more of the interaction, UI, UX per se perspective, is that as much time as you're working on static screens, you should also be considering putting a good amount of that time to actually bringing it to life in prototypes. A lot of that thinking of from this screen to the next screen, how does the information architecture reflect, or what's the overall structure of the system, and understanding all those connections. Instead of trying to envision all of that within your head of these static screens and these boxes, is to actually put it into life and bring it into the prototype, whether or not it's one idea or a couple of different ideas, because that will let you actually test and get a feel of what those experiences are like. And so you can very, very quickly actually set up all these different kind of models and test them out. And then also hand it off to somebody else to take a look through.
Great. And I saw one more question there. You don't mind? I just quickly take.
Yes, I will go over that, because I think you put here work with us. So yeah, I think the Punchcut team will be a great place.
Yes.
You can go ahead and answer this. Punchcut is based in California, right? Do you have offices in New York City as well?
Yeah, so one of our core studios is in San Francisco, California, but we are a distributed team. The pandemic has distributed everyone, including Punchcut as an agency. So we have team members all across the country, and we have two other studios, one in a temporary studio in New York and one in Cincinnati, Ohio. And considering some others potentially in Austin and LA. But our team is fully distributed. We work, remotely with our clients, but we also are starting to do more on-site support, as well as going out for, in-person user testing and research. So.
Great. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody, really, for today. Thank you for making all the questions. And I think, here you have also the contact information in case you want to reach out to the Punchcut team.